Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 16 of the Unwrapped Leader Podcast, where we get raw, real, and relevant in the new network marketing and helping you become a gifted leader in your business. My name is Teisha Dorianna from Canada.
And I'm Dracy Dewar from Australia.
And today's episode, we are going to be talking to you guys about Instagram stories that sell, stories that actually convert. Because Dracy and I just last week were doing a gifts analysis, which is our take on a SWOT analysis on our new brand and how we've been doing, where we see our strengths are, where we feel that we could have some improvements, what kind of support we need to seek out. And one of the things that came up is the importance of stories. And we felt that that's something we could really improve on personally. We've been consistently doing, I think, Dracy, we calculated it was just on average 5.8 posts a week since we've kind of gotten started. And our goal going into this was to get up 5 quality posts for you guys every single week. So we've exceeded that. We're very happy. And we feel that, you know, now that we've kind of had time to assess that we really want to dive more into stories. You know, we know what we're talking about when it comes to Instagram stories, and we just feel like we could do a better job with that. So that's how this topic kind of came to be. And so today we wanted to talk to you guys about how basically, like we all know how to post a story, but how do we actually form a story on our Instagram? And we could actually do, I say Instagram stories, but really like we do stories on Facebook as well. If you're someone who uses Facebook primarily for business, but we all know how to post one, but what actually converts? What is going to produce a story that's going to help sell in the end without just feeling like you're selling all the time? So we want to, you know, talk about how to remember to post every single day, because sometimes we feel like, you know, it could be complicated. How do we form a schedule for that? How does it just become natural to just continuously post every day on our stories? And then also what to do after you post, because a lot of it comes afterwards, and what you do after that makes the biggest difference. So we want to talk to you guys about the importance of stories today and just some of our ideas. We're going to give you some very specific examples at the end. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video, leave us a comment on your biggest takeaway at the end, and make sure you hit that share button, share with your teams if you feel like this is a topic that they could use. We always appreciate as well on the podcasting apps a 5-star review if you guys feel like you got anything out of the episode. So thank you guys in advance for that. So before we get into the ease of what your stories should have, and that might not make sense to you now, but Dracy is going to get into it. I quickly just want to explain the difference between a feed post and a story when it comes to Instagram, because you have a feed and you have a story. But sometimes people feel I could post something on my feed, so I don't have to do stories, or vice versa. I've done a story today, so I don't have to do a feed. But there is a really big difference. And one of the things that you want to make sure your feed is producing is content that your ideal audience is going to want to see, because those are the posts that could be reached to so many people outside of your following. You could use hashtags, you could use locations. And so many new people can find your posts through that. And if you're posting things that your ideal audience wants to see and hear, then they're going to, you know, hit that follow button and they're going to come along for that journey. Where stories, this is only seen by people who are already following you on your Instagram, which means that this is used to build better connections with the people that are already in your following, people who are already your audience. And that's really important too, because that's actually how you create that conversion with your product or service or whatever it is that you're selling. So it is important to do both. And sometimes it feels like a big job to get done both of those in one day, but it's very, very doable. And we want to talk to you guys about really the ease of posting stories. So I'm going to let that be with Dracy to talk to you guys about the ease of forming your stories.
Oh, thank you, Teisha. You always do an excellent job on explaining the difference of, you know, whatever it is that we're talking about. In this case, our feed posts versus our stories. And I love our stories for the sake that it, you know, they say facts tell, stories sell. And so this is the place where you actually literally get to expand and really excel on what it is that you do or what you want to share. But I just wanted to add something in there as well, as you know, because in our feed post too, it's part of our branding, it's part of our brand pillars, and we've kind of got like a story going, and it's educational or inspiring or entertaining. But so are our stories, and that's why in our book we kind of wrote the 4 E's to growing a business. But specifically in the stories, I just wanted to expand on that it's still a place to do that. but it's more of a place that they remember you. And I always kind of think of, what do you want to be remembered by, and how do you want people to remember? And if these are people who are seeing you more on a daily basis, is that when they have a problem or an issue or something, you want them to think, Dracy does that, or I know gifts, Teisha, she sells tea. Like, just you're the first person that pops in their head when in their everyday life they're challenged with like they're faced with a challenge, or they need a solution. You want to be that person. And so this is where I think just stories on a daily basis. And they say, yes, it's posting a story every day. You can even post 2 or 3 stories every day. That's not too much. And it could be on different things and different content. So when we talk about our E's, we are again coming down to things that you educate. So again, when you're educating people on, in our case, in the network marketing industry, is the products, is the people, is the programs, and how I can expand on that. Though it's not the products necessarily on, here's my product and just like specific. It's how you incorporate that product in your everyday life, them actually seeing it in your everyday life, more subtle. I think the stories get to be your subtle seeds. And if you plant enough subtle seeds, and then, kind of like the 80-20 rule, subtle, boom, something more specific, like a bullet seed, that this is, that you have this specific product or this specific program going on. So when I talk about people in educating, like it's just a really great place. That's somebody that you've learned something from, or you've been educated and you want to share that on your story. Certain like-minded people that I'm actually following. Again, I love to share them on the story, which I think is fantastic. And then just programs, like certain programs that our industry has, like, some of the companies have a host program where hosts get free product. You may have a program where it's a getting started program, or a car bonus program, or just the fact that you have a bonus program, or you've done something consistently. Again, that's just definitely a place that you can celebrate and share that on your story. The next one is the entertain. It is your place to entertain. Again, why do we entertain? Is because it brings emotion. And when you can tap into somebody's emotions, again, you're going to be, most remembered by that. Or you put a smile on someone's face. That's why funny is great, or it's something informative. But again, just think of the emotion when it comes to entertaining people. And then, of course, is engage. You really want to have the opportunity to engage. And that's where stories have become so fun, with all the different engaging tools that they have, which Teisha's going to go through with that, like polls and trivias. But again, the key to engagement is call to action. And so again, being intentional with your stories. And I think this is what Teisha and I had said, that, we've been very intentional with our posts. And we have shared quite a bit on our stories. Pretty much our posts we've shared to our stories and some of our everyday life, but maybe we haven't put enough intention into it. So we decided to do a 30-day plan. And so being more intentional in that 30-day plan and planning around the stuff we want to share. But again, it is the place stories can be for your spontaneous nature, for inspiration and education, and that's spontaneous. And that's where coming in being empowering. Again, inspiring quotes and motivational stories. But the best way you empower is people seeing your transformation. So that's why when you're starting something new, people love to see that. So don't be afraid to start something new and to be able to share it, because that's the most empowering thing you can do. And as well as people seeing your struggles and how you're overcoming it, and they will remember that for you. So just in some fun, I added a couple other E's, just again to tweak or highlight. Again, it comes to environment. Again, I put environment in here, but why I put environment is because no matter where you are, people like to see that. So if you're in a new location, or you're going for a walk, or you've gone down to the beach, or you've walked into a new restaurant, that's your environment, and people love to see where you are, where you create space for, that's engaging and entertaining. And last but not least, I added E for everyone. Again, it's a place that you can showcase everyone that you know and love, that's inspiring you and educating you, or making a difference in your life. So share that on your story. So I hope that's been very helpful. Teisha, she's going to come and share some of the features that stories have that you can totally take advantage of. So again, you can share your story.
Yeah, that was great. And I think all these E's boil down to one thing. And it just made me think, you guys are selling a lifestyle. So when Dracy, talks about this is your place to be spontaneous, this is your place to be your genuine self. Remember that you're not just selling a product. So even in that education portion where we're talking about the products, Dracy mentioned even a bit more subtle, like you're selling a lifestyle. So whether that means you're using your product when you're going out to do something, maybe your product isn't the main focus of that story, but it just happens to be there because you're using it on a daily basis. So that's what it all just boils down to, is just be yourself. Think of the daily activities that you perform. It could be the most simplest thing. I follow actually this one lady on Instagram, and every day it's the same story every day. She talks about how you should make your bed every day and stay out of it. So that is like her thing. She posts it every single day, and you think people, you might even think like people don't need to see it every day, but that's her thing. She posts it every single day. It's part of her lifestyle. And I know she is involved in a wellness company, and that's part of her wellness journey. So I think it's great that she shares it, even if it's every day. So don't be scared to, repeat the things that you preach, because people, it's going to speak to a different person every time, and some new followers that you might gain through that as well. So with the story features, as Dracy was mentioning, so I wanted to talk about just all the features that are given to us when we're creating stories. And this actually helps us develop more of a consistent schedule when we're creating them, because there's so many different things we could do. So I'm not going to get into very specific examples yet, because we do have that at the very end, but I'm just going to go over the main features that you could find. So when you are building a story, whether you're taking a picture, a video, you always have this little sticker icon. It's a smiley face at the very top of your story, and it will have a few different features in it. So if you click on that smiley face, a few things will pop up. One of them being a poll. I would say that's one of the most popular ones. It's so easy. It's fun. We love to vote in polls. And one tip or piece of advice when you guys are using a poll is to always give 2 positive answers. And so sometimes when people use polls, they think, the automatic answers, that the default ones that you're given are yes or no. But you never want to give a yes or no. You either want to do a yes or a more information, or a yes or heck yes. Or sometimes maybe it's just something for fun, like pancakes or waffles, right? So those are 2 options that really could be positive. Either way, it gives you a reason to reach out after, which Dracy's going to get into the follow-up after. But polls, super simple. People love to use them, and they're just a fast and effective feature that you could use if you're not sure what to post for that day. The next one would be the question box. So think of some questions that people like to answer. Like, honestly, like this is, like Dracy was mentioning, this is your chance to be spontaneous, to be yourself. And you could drop some subtle hints with your when you're educating on the products, people, and programs. But just as an example, I remember I was making chili for dinner one night, and I was like, I'm curious what people put in their chili. You know how everyone has that like secret key ingredient or something? And this was just for fun. But at the end of the day, the whole point of stories is to build stronger connections with your audience. And that's exactly what I'm doing, even by doing something simple like that. So I remember writing, what is your secret ingredient in your chili? I got so many answers, people who I didn't even think were watching my stories, but it gave me that opportunity to connect with new people just from asking a simple question like that. And I learned so much too. So it was very informative to me, but it made me open my eyes as well to see, wow, these people are actually seeing my stories. They're actually looking at my stuff. And now that you've posted something that has engaged them, and they enjoyed, they're more likely to come back and participate in maybe more of your questions or polls or any sort of your stories in the future. So that's another one. The next one is a quiz. So some people call it a trivia, could be a quiz. Basically, it's like a poll, but you get the opportunity to do, I believe, up to 4 or 5 different options. So what I like to use this one for is testing your audience's knowledge on maybe one of your products or services. So, I'm actually going to get into an example of that a bit later, but it's a really great way to test that knowledge. So think of some questions that people would be very impressed to hear, and kind of formulate that in a quiz type of feature. So I will give you an example on that in a bit later here. The next one is the slider icon. So that's the one where you could change the emoji on it, and it just kind of slides like this, and it lets you tap on it, and it lets you drag it to all the way to the top. A lot of people just use this one very simply, like, how excited are you for this launch or something? And right, people can slide it all the way and just showing their excitement. But there's many different ways you could use this, and I will get into that in a bit here. So the slider icon's another fun one. The last 2 I have are the link. That is a fairly new one, I would say, in the last at least in the last 6 months, this has only been released. I absolutely love it. It's such a game changer for using that as a call to action in your groups. You could use them to lead them to a video, a group, just a piece of information or somewhere that you want them to go. A podcast, exactly. I guess we always do that every Wednesday. We say, click here to watch the podcast, right? So the link is amazing. It is accessible to anybody. Before the link was available, there was like a rule. You had to have 10,000 followers to get that swipe up feature. But now with this link, we don't even need the swipe up feature because the link is going to take them exactly where you want them to go. And then last but not least, the countdown. So this is a fun little one for if you have an upcoming event going on and you want people to count down the days. Like we're probably going to do a countdown when we have our book launch going. So stay tuned for the countdown. And what it allows you to do is people can actually share it to their own stories, the countdown. They can make sure to save it so that they get notified when the countdown is up. So it's a really fun little feature for any sort of upcoming events, parties, anything that you have going on. So there's so many ways to use stories today, and we will get into some specific examples, but I'm going to leave it to Dracy now to talk a little bit about the follow-up, because once you make the story, the follow-up is probably the most important part of this. So go ahead, Dracy, with the follow-up.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm excited about the slider one. I didn't know the slider one. So see, you're always learning something new. And again, it just definitely makes me want to go and be a little more intentional on the stories. And because they're a lot more simple, a lot easier to pop out there and than actual posts. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. That's what's fantastic. So again, Absolutely. The fortune is in the follow-up. And again, this is just a really great way to see who is engaging. That's the point of it, who's seeing and viewing. And it's interesting that certain posts get certain reactions. And so you really want to thank people for participating. I think that's really important, just to thank them and just make responses, like respond to other people's responses. So it's really important, but don't just respond with a thanks or something. Like try to respond with something a little bit that maybe creates and keeps the conversation going with another question. But the objective always in your engaging is to be able to always know that you can invite them to something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on the first time or the second time, but maybe by the third or fourth time you've had an engagement or an interaction with them, is it be inviting them. And there's usually one of three things that you want to be inviting somebody to. A, it could be an upcoming event. B, it could be to your VIP group. And I don't mean VIP group, I mean your private group. We know that Facebook doesn't like the algorithms don't want you to call it a VIP group, but if you call it your private group where you give VIP treatment, that really is what you're really trying to funnel people to, because that's where you ultimately are able to showcase and share your products in a way that allows you to sell the products. Or a video, maybe you have a recent video of a recent product launch, or a video that's very informative about what you do or how you support or help people. So again, just give thought into the interaction or engagement of what you would like to drive them to. And again, the Facebook group, private group is usually a really good number one place too. I know when again, I go and watch people. So people who are watching me or have engaged with me, I immediately go and check them out, their story or their actual Instagram group or account. And I go and like and follow, and try to do a few little comments and things like that. Again, just to see that they see that I'm paying attention to them. But one girl that I was following, and she just had a beautiful brand story, just loved her energy. She was on body confidence and health and wellness. And I'm already in health and wellness. So I was just really intrigued on what she was doing. But because I would like her stuff so much, she actually reached out to me and just said, "Thank you for following me. I really appreciate your support." That was it. And I really appreciated that. And so it really made me notice that the importance and the power of that. And then the next time she messaged me, she says, "Hey, I'm not sure if this is for you, but we're doing an actual event where it's just more information about, body confidence, being, whatever it was. And because she was just so genuine and I already got to know, like, and trust her, I said yes. I had no reason why not to say no. And it turns out in the end, they had a product that I don't carry and that I absolutely love. So I ended up buying from her. But that was my experience on the other end. So it definitely has a place for it when it comes from a place of being of service and helping and genuine. And so you have a lot of power in those stories in your own personal follow-up. So thank you.
I think also, just to add to that, like it comes down to just, you want to have more quality conversations with people. And that's what I always tell my team is that if there's one thing you could do, work on having better quality conversations every single day. And I feel that we do that a lot through these follow-ups. And you make a really good point. We're not just putting up stories and, hoping people respond to rely on those quality conversations that we're going to have, but we have to show the love back. We have to go engage with other people's as well. If we want that love on our stories, we got to give the love to other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my favorite thing.
Yes, it's all about those connections, building relationships. That's what network marketing is all about, right?
Well, darling, now let's give them some examples. I see you got 5 here.
Yeah, I have 5 examples to share with you guys. Dracy, if something comes to mind, just chime in, like something specific when I'm talking, just chime in. The first one is a poll. So as I told you guys earlier, we want 2 positive responses. We never want to leave a negative response as an option, because either way, whatever they vote, we have that opportunity to follow up with them regardless. So one of my examples that I have down here is to share a customer win. So what you could do, maybe if you have a product or a service that they're using, you could show maybe a before and after. It could be a visual one. It could be something that they thought about before they tried the product versus after, and just share a customer win, whatever that looks like to you, and then have a poll after. And maybe you have like a sample for them to try, or maybe you have even an upcoming event about this exact product or how this transformation happens. So something you could say in the poll after sharing that customer win is, would you like to try a sample for yourself? Yes or heck yes, or yes or more information. As I said, you want to keep it positive. So that's my example for a poll. The next one is the question box. So that's when it is kind of open. That's when I gave that one. Okay, so actually, I did share this example. See, I tried not to share all my examples, but basically asking for recommendations. It could be anything, guys. Like I said, this is just to start those quality conversations. But if you could tie your kind of product into it subtly, obviously that's great. But it also is great when you could just be real with people and live in the moment. And that's what makes stories so fun, is that you could just do it on a day-by-day basis, whatever happens to come up, what you're making for dinner, what you're doing later on in the afternoon. So again, it's just to really begin those quality conversations with people. So the chili example is great. What is your secret ingredient to chili? If you guys are watching, like, let me know. I actually want to know your key ingredient too, because I love learning what people
How many people put brown sugar? Did you get a lot of brown sugars?
I got 1 brown sugar, actually. I don't remember all the responses on the top of my head. I screenshotted it though, and it's saved on my phone. I did get a brown sugar though, and I've never used that. So
that's mine. That's my secret ingredient.
That's your key. So it's just interesting, and it just creates those quality conversations. So just think of even sometimes people like to even do, I find I don't get maybe a ton of responses on this just because it's a bit more random, but try it out once in a while. Just say, ask me anything and see what comes up, see what people want to know. But the more specific you could be, the more people actually care to chime in. So I like to kind of be specific in that. When it comes to a quiz, that's when I said it's kind of like a poll, but you could have a variety of options. So my example for this could be, and if I was using one of my products, and one of my top selling products is my matcha, I might say, how many calories are in a serving of Sipology matcha? And this is something that I think a lot of people are surprised to see, because when you see so many other brands out there, you're used to seeing what theirs has. So you could put, whatever, 100 calories, 50 calories, 3 calories, or whatever, 0 calories, right? And then they would have to vote on which one they think. So something that you think is like a mind-blowing feature about your product or service. By the way, the answer is 0 to 5 calories, depending on if you get an unsweetened or sweetened. But I feel like a lot of people are pretty, excited about that. And they're like, oh, really? And they start to ask questions and wonder why. So think of your product or service. What is something that was mind-blowing to you that you first learned about, and form that into a question that you could ask your crowd that you think they would be impressed by. And then the next one is the slider icon. So Dracy, you've seen the slider icon before though, right?
I have seen it, but I just, again, didn't work out how to do it myself or what to do it with.
Okay, so like I said, a lot of people just use it as like, show me how excited you are for this or whatever. And people just slide it for fun. But there's actually a much cooler way that you could use it that I've seen only a select amount of people use it but I think it's genius. So what they do, like I said, you could change that emoji in there. So I think it's like defaulted to a smiley face. I think so. Anyways, you could switch the emoji to whatever one you want. So what I like to do is I like to put the arrow emoji, just the arrow facing. It doesn't really matter which way, just left or right. And then what you do for the question is you write something like, maybe depending on your type of business you're in, let's just go with health and wellness. I feel like so many businesses are health and wellness nowadays too. You could say something like, what do you need more of in your life? And then the arrow is going to do this, prompting them to slide. And you put all the options next to the slider box saying, for example, maybe you have a product that helps with a better quality sleep. So you put better quality sleep. Maybe you have a product that helps with like anxiety. So maybe they need to help like relax. So maybe you'll put relaxation. Maybe you'll put something like happiness, right? Maybe people, they take something already for that or whatever, right? Put happiness, or maybe it's something like health-wise, like gut health. They would like to improve their gut health. So again, your question being like, what do you need more of in your life? You have maybe 4 to 5 options. I wouldn't do too many because then it gets confusing. Put them spaced out perfectly with that slider bar. You have to turn the slider bar vertical because usually it's kind of that horizontal way, and you can only slide it to the side. But if you turn it vertical, you can slide it up and down, and then the arrow is going to be pointing. So basically, they slide it to whatever option of whatever thing they need more of in their life. And so that's going to be a call. So that's pretty much your call to action, is just that slider key, because then you could go look at people's responses and see, oh, they chose this one, right? I could see the sliders kind of in the middle, and that's that option that, was quality sleep. So that could be my reason to follow up with them and say, hey, thanks for voting on my story or whatever. I wanted to just follow up with you and recommend a product that you might enjoy or whatever. So that's a really cool way to use the slider feature that not a lot of people know about.
You just inspired me. You inspired me. Yeah, I got to do one. I got to do one now.
Tracy's like, I know what I'm doing on the
I know what I'm doing now.
So you guys can expect to see that all week long from us now. We're going to be coming up with some great ideas. So I'm sure you could go to our stories for some more examples, even for your guys' business with that. And then the last thing that I will give an example on is the link. So of course, I talked about this being fairly new, or probably one of the newer features. We don't need the swipe up feature with the 10,000 followers. The link feature is just as good. So something you could do is, if you have a private customer group, you could, and what you might already be doing is you might be demoing products in your private group, showing how something works. But what I like to do after I demo that product, say I make myself a matcha latte or something, snap a picture with what you just did, and then put it on your story and say, do you want to learn how to make this? Or do you want to learn how to use this, right? And it's you holding it up, whatever you just demoed in your group. And then you say, click the link below to watch the video. And then that link is going to take them to your group where you just did the videos, right? So you're probably already doing this. You're already demoing how to use these products or how to use your services. And so now by putting it on your story, it's giving them a call to action, and it's inviting new people into that community of yours. So those are the 5 examples that I have for you. And Dracy, is there anything else you want to add before closing it up?
Oh, well, I just want to highlight to everybody that almost 500 million users of Instagram follow stories, and 58% of those actual users are more interested in your brand after seeing a story. So those are actual facts. And so just the importance of utilizing stories for your business and your personal branding. And for some people have no problem. And I'm going to just talk about, there's 2 kinds of people. We got our introverts and our extroverts. And if you're naturally an extrovert, yeah, like it's no problem doing stories and they want to share and showcase your life. But when you're naturally an introvert, you think it and you overthink it. And all I can encourage you is just to do it, because those of you that are normally not share those parts of your life, when you do, you are so much more appreciated. And so I always kind of say, for the extroverts, I say, think more about your intention, because sometimes we can jump out and do so much and too much and overdo it and oversay it, is to be more intentional. Think about it. But for those of you that are introverts, I'd say stop thinking about it and just do it. Just share it and have some fun, because it is the difference between being, great, good, great, and awesome. So that's what I wanted to share.
I got to say one thing. Okay. I want to leave them with a challenge. I gave you guys 5 story examples. It uses 5 different features, and 5 different features means you could post a story 5 days a week. So I want to challenge you guys to, pick whatever it's Monday in Canada, Tuesday in Australia, but either this week or next week. I just want you guys to start and make it a goal to use every single feature in 1 week. And that's going to give you guys a whole week of posts on your stories. Just challenge yourself to do 1 different feature every single day.
And the great thing about that, Teisha, is not only the challenge of that, plus whatever current posts they have going through the brand stories, they're repurposing it and sharing it to their story. So there's another one. And then just again, and then just, the in line with being spontaneous. So all of a sudden that puts 2 to 3 posts a day going in their stories just by doing those intentions. So they can have a lot of fun with it. So watch for our stories. We are definitely going to be more intentional. We're putting together 30 days of content for stories. And so if you're definitely interested in wanting to see more, comment below. Tell us your nuggets. And next week, we are going to be going live on our podcast in our Facebook group. And we will doing a live on our Instagram as well. So we'll do a double whammy of it. But if you're not following on our Facebook page, please go follow there. We're going to be giving away one of our free books because we're nearly there. Again, nearly, if you're on podcast. Yeah. Oh, she's got her list of her wait list.
Still got the names.
You got the names. So we'll add to those names by you joining our wait list if you haven't gone to the unwrappedleader.com. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you on our next podcast live and sharing questions and sharing what you love. You guys all have a great day, and we look forward to seeing your stories.
Bye, guys.